let me kind of make a more direct metaphorical relationship to the shadow, what we're calling a shadow, right? Neurologically. So we have spinal reflexes. If I take a rubber mallet and I strike you on the knee, you're going to have a knee-jerk reaction. You don't have control over that consciously. Mm-hmm. You can sit there and go, I'm not going to let my knee go, and I'm going to smack that spot and your knee's going to go. You have no control over it. So there's a level in which your neurology overrides you. It's a trigger, right? We have other triggers in us as well. And those triggers are going to be based on our history. It can be based on trauma, based on experience, based on practice, the things that we practice on a regular basis.
Those have triggers? Is that what you're saying?
Well, so think if you're a police officer and you're taught how do we act in a very specific situation? Well, if that situation comes up, you are immediately going to be triggered into your training.
Yeah. I guess this goes with like developing habits and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's part of the observation. What am I training my body? How am I training myself to respond in the world? And am I paying attention to the ways in which I respond to the world that I don't have control over, so that I can, it's not that I can cut them off at the pass. It's just that I'm aware that these things are going to be taking place. When we're in a conversation, somebody says something, they might use a word that we have an association with in some other place that's a trigger for us. Well, they say that word, they may not mean it in the way that it gets triggered, but it gets triggered, and all of a sudden there's an explosion of like emotions and thought wrapped around that word that we may not even be aware of. It's taking place. It's now changing our language, changing the tone of our voice, changing our posture. We might be getting defensive. We might be getting angry, or we might be softening and being like, we might take them for being more well-meaning than they actually are based on that word, or we might take them as being hostile.
Yeah.
More hostile than they actually are based on that.
And that's just like a knee-jerk thing where we don't actually have control over whatever is happening internally.
Right.
Chemically, emotionally. Yeah.
And we can't necessarily get control of it. One of the things I like to tell people is that we don't have control over very much. We don't have control over the world, and we don't even have control over how we respond to the world. The only thing we have any level of control over is how we respond to the world. And that's where that layer of observations is useful, valuable, helpful.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip, consider checking out other clips here on the channel, or you can even dive into a fuller episode, the entire thing, either right here on the channel or anywhere else that you listen to the podcast. Thanks for coming, and I will see you later.